bodies, they're all dead.
What's up, y'all? We back at it with another chapter of Kaedegami. This is actually what, chapter 14, and we got it where Z is confronting the Shingu from her past that actually finished off her family. We found that out in the backstory, and we actually find out a little bit more about her backstory, which kind of makes her feel like it's like you could understand where she's coming from, but at the same time, it's just like, damn, she is the reason why her family is gone. And we find out exactly what happened that caused this Shingu to wipe out her family. It's a sad story. Like I said, this series is brutal, man. When we see the stuff this Shingu does in this chapter, it's like, yo, is this Weekly Shonen Jump or is this Manga Plus? Like, I had to take a step back when I got to that page. If you read the chapter, you already know what I'm talking about. But anyway, we're about to get right into it, man. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. Greatly appreciate it, man. So the chapter starts off where you got the mistress, the lady in charge of this orphanage, saying, you know what I'm saying, when she first laid eyes on her, she realized that her entire concept of beauty was nothing but a sham. You know what I'm saying? The elegance in her every movement, it was something no human could ever hope to obtain. You have her saying, I have no regrets whatsoever about wholly devoting myself and my orphanage to a being such as this. Like, this is crazy, man. This is crazy. This lady fell in love with this Shingu, and it seems like everyone who actually gazes at this Shingu becomes mesmerized by her beauty. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, her design dope as hell. She probably would get me too. She probably, especially with just seeing her, like, look, man, I don't want to harp over it, but just how she's sitting there and she got the like two little straps. It's a crazy outfit. The outfit is crazy, man. But you have it where this Shingu is sitting there and she's saying like, yo, she's charmed to actually see, you know, Z return. You know, of course I'm calling Z because, you know, her name is Z. But anyway, you got it where she says to Z, like, she's happy to see Z return. She says like, you know, humans, they create things such as jewelry and works of art and even dance, you know, to hide the lies within their human hearts. And you have it where she's speaking of the moment she actually seen Z in the woods. And Z is actually thinking about how she felt when she first encountered this Shingu, how, you know, the sun filtered through the trees and illuminated, you know, with such warmth. Her white hair sparkled like a golden light. And you have it where the Shingu is saying, yo, but, you know, you were just as beautiful as me. Remember how much fun we had back then, how you smiled, how you laughed, and how we played together, and how we shared so many memories together. And you have it where she's saying like, yo, you know, you want to play like we used to? You know, come here, you know, we can do what we used to do back in the day. And as, you know, you have it where Z kind of looks like she too is somewhat mesmerized by this Shingu, despite how she's been talking up until this point in the previous chapters about how people who are close to Shingu's are fools. You see that she's somewhat acting the same way. But then you have it with Mai, she walks up and smacks, you know, Z in the head with some type of jar, like some type of cup, some type of container, and she smacks and she walks up to the Shingu and says, at long last, I get to meet you. I know that I could never get to hear the applause that I yearn for, but if I could win the approval of one as beautiful as you, then that would be enough for me. And then you have it where you know, Z is saying, oh, she must have snuck up and followed my trail to get here. And you have it where Z is telling Maya to get away from her. She's dangerous. And then Maya looks back at Z and says, shut up. You only pretend to be nice to drag me down. I never asked for your help, and I certainly don't need to be saved. You're a plague on this orphanage. All you brought is trouble. And then you have it where this Shingu looks at Mai, and in case you don't know, Mai is the girl who stabbed her own hand to prove her loyalty a couple chapters ago. But you have it where the Shingu goes to say to Mai, like, yo, I've been watching you for quite some time. I've seen how hard you've worked. Your small jaw and slender limbs are beautiful. And then you have it where Mama says, you really think so? She says, oh, but I have more than that to offer. I can dance too. Let me show you. And then you have it where this Shengual says, however, you've injured my dear Z. And then you have it where this Shengual begins to burn Mai Mai's face. And you have it where Mai Mai says, like, your hands, they're hot, it hurts, ouch. And then you have it where this Shengual gives this girl a kiss, and then at the same time rips off the head of Mai Mai. This scene is so damn brutal, and she's just standing there. Yo, this scene was insane. And you have it where Z is bearing witness to it, and she's like, oh no, it happened again. And I just stood there, meaning that, you know, my throat was frozen. I don't know if she was necessarily frozen with fear or just frozen with shock. And then you have this Shengual looking at Mai. But then Mai goes to attack her by throwing out some talisman. But you have this Shengual dodging it. And Mai goes to, I mean, not Mai, but Z. Z goes to say, I was a fool to think there was any other way. I'll kill you. You're an enemy to all humankind, Tai. And then you have it where she goes to say, well, that's not very nice. Won't you talk to me in that adorable voice like you used to? So that's what the Shengual is saying to Mai. Next thing you know, it jumps to Coup as he's waking up, and you have it where Chiyu is saying, like, that little brat played us. It seemed like she went ahead to confront the Shengual without us. And then you have it where, you know, Chiyu says, I can sense the Shengual's presence more strongly now. It's coming from beneath us. And of course you have it where Coup seems to be worried about Z. And then it jumps back to Z as she's trying to face off against this Shengual. And the Shengual says, and after all the trouble I went to assemble that collection, she says, it seems like that's what happens to everything I touch. And then you got it where Z is saying the water she's using corrode things. So she's able to corrode things, and that's pretty much how she was able to rip that girl head off. And then you have it where this Shengual says, like, yo, don't be cross with me, Z. Why are you so upset? Let's talk it through like we used to. And you have it where Z replies back by saying, why am I upset? You just murdered Mai Mai, just like you murdered my family. And you want to talk it through? Then you have it where this Shengual goes to say, I don't understand why you were angry. You hated living in that house. And then of course you have it where you know, that she goes to attack, or they go to attack one another. Then the Shengual says, you know I'm right. The moldy decorations, the hideous mansion, the boring traditions, you could hardly stand it all. You poor confused girl. I know you'd rather blame me for all the suffering, but that's simply not true. I'm the best thing that ever happened to you, Z, and the greatest misfortune of your life was when you abandoned me. Now, it seems as if, you know, Z was tired of her family. She was upset of the traditions and the things that they did, or the things that they considered to be beauty. And she probably complained about those things to the Shengual. So the Shengual probably was very fond of Z, and took it as a request from Z to wipe out Z's family. Now, of course, Z was just a child, so she didn't really know what she was saying. Or then again, she probably knew what she was saying, but she probably didn't intend for this type of outcome to happen, with her family being slaughtered by this Shengual. But you have it where the Shengual says to Z, like, yo, it isn't too late to fix that. She says, stay with me forever. If you like, I can play with you like we used to. After all, you and I still love each other, don't we? And you have it where you got Z kind of in a daze, and she's thinking about how foolish the people, you know, were that she's met and encountered up until this point, and how she's just like them. How everywhere she go, everyone she meet, they're all so disgusting and irresponsible. Fools willing to throw their lives away for something beautiful. But me, I'm really no different. And then as that happens, you have it where the ceiling, you know what I'm saying, you have it where the ceiling crumbles, and you got Coup jumping in. You know, this is how forged hellfire is meant to be used. Have it where Chiyu says, I'm way prettier than she is, as Coup says, let's go. And that's how the chapter ends. But man, to see that this is how, you know, Z life turned out, how she was fed up with her family and probably said the words that led to her family being destroyed or murdered by the Shingu is insane to me. But let me know y'all thoughts on this chapter down below. If you like this video, thumb it up, please subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, man. Peace.